So this is Kohaku. This is the 63rd annual, I think, or is it 67th? By the way, white won and not red. White are the male singers, and red is the female singers. So white beat red by about 30 votes, even though the judges voted mostly for the reds, for the female singers. The male singers won. It's a sexist. It's a battle of the sexes. But if you're American, and chances are you are, you're going to find this sexist. Well, why can't women win? Why can't men win? Why do women have to win? It's like this is another country, and as Freddie said at the end of The Green Zone, starring Matt Damon, it is not your right to decide what happens here, or what happens in Japan. It's in Japan. It stays in Japan. This is America, and that's Japan. So this is where they go on and on about stuff. So we have about less than 15 minutes. Let's see New Year's fucking Eve, or is it New Year's Rockin' Eve? What the? I don't have a HD TV, by the way. Okay, it's 11:42. Let me show you. This is my domino set, my gravity maze. This is my. I got this for the holidays. Indiana Jones Life board game. This connects. I made it so that this connects with this board game, so that it's the same four colored characters: red, yellow, green, blue. It's a giant like open world. I have literally like no life but that. So let me set up here so you can see my ugly face, whatever's left of it. I'm gonna put a light on. So yes, Happy New Year to everybody who east of us. It is. Can you see me all right? Okay. So it was Japan was first. So by the way, the Kohaku event, the Red and White Festival for NHK, that already aired. So that was yesterday, technically. It's already been one day. Now it is January 2nd in Japan, then the Philippines, then Russia, then India, then Africa and Europe. In the UK, there was a 7-hour difference, and then New York, it was already passed. So let's see, we still, I don't know what time we got. We've got about 17 minutes, I think. No? Yeah, 17 minutes. So 17 minutes to go. So yeah, what do I want to say? So this is Pacific time. This is California. Hello to Mackenzie Foy. Happy New Year, wherever you are too. And to other stunt people, Align Maine, Petra Sprecher. She's a stunt woman. Hello to Dreamcast 84. Hello to, I'll say Angry Joe Vargas, so he never talks to me, and Boogie 2988, some of the bigger YouTube pundits. And I'll say hello to anybody who gives a damn. So I did the 2018 New Year's resolution. It was funny, a year ago, I gave thanks to the very first person, Kyle Rowling, as one of the stunt people who did the sword play. He was the stunt double for Count Dooku in Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones. So I'm glad I finished it. It was a pain in the ass to do it every night. But I didn't want to be one of those looky-loos, those well-wishers, those naysayers who made a resolution and didn't follow it through. I didn't follow through on one day, and that was on my birthday. And then I think maybe on the 4th of July. But anyway. We got Christina Aguilera. I think Christina Aguilera, am I wrong? For those of you who watch reality shows, I think she's that mystery masked singer that sings on Fox. You know that show where they put a big mask on singers and they sing on stage and the judges have to guess who it is? I think that's her. I think Christina Aguilera is on that show. And I think she's wearing that big disguise and she's singing. And somebody says, oh, she sounds familiar, but I don't know who that is. I think Christina Aguilera is on that reality show where she's singing, but she has a big old disguise. I think that's what it is. Anyway, So yeah, that's New Year's fucking Eve with with Ryan Seacrest, Rockin' Eve. I like to swear. That's my way of release. So what's my deal? It's I'm still MGTOW. I'm still not. Some things are still not resolved for me. Um, I don't know what's going to happen. Um, I'm not volunteering much anymore or trying to find work like in the traditional sense because I just don't fit in with normal like ways to find jobs. Okay. The one job I'm willing to take that isn't a great job, it's not a most dignifying job. It's being a library aide to being a librarian. I can be a librarian, but you have to deal with people in and out who don't bring in their books, who have to pay fines, lots of kids. It's a pain in the butt, and it pays all right. I would be willing to take a library job. Um, even if I'm not, even if I'm better than that, it's a nice quiet job compared to flipping hamburgers, washing windows, washing floors, and changing oil in cars. It's something I'm willing to do. Oh, we're almost there. Let me check the exact time. We got 6 minutes and 26 in, but let me check the exact time. 11:47, 11:48. So 12 to go. So I'm going to hang out here. Nobody's watching. Nobody would watch. It's New Year's Eve. Nobody's going to watch. I did tell Dreamcast 84 about doing this. So he might be busy. That's fine. I don't expect anybody to really watch this. Um, I'm still going to do. Oh, I did something. I'm still going to do the comic strips, but I'll show you what I'm doing. So this is a technique I'm using for the color schemes. I'm going to stop drawing it the way I'm doing it. I'm still going to post. I have two more to post this week. But the idea for me was when I did the Faye McCoy based loosely on Mackenzie, when I did the Faye McCoy, I wanted to do it a week ahead so that when I post Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then do a drama on Sunday, I'm always 1 week ahead because I have the next ones ready to go for the next week. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Twitter, I'm always updating the Faye McCoy comic. Why did I do the Faye McCoy comic? There was something inspirational about Mackenzie. She's matured, I think, a lot. She doesn't use social media as much, and she's very cautious, a little paranoid, and very aware of things, aware of people. A little paranoid. I can be like that. And I think I think if she's going to tweet, if she's going to post an Instagram, she's going to do it when it really matters now. I think she's gone through some changes. So I really admire that about her. Um, so, I think Mackenzie's just trying to approach life differently. She doesn't want to be seen as Renesmee Cullen or Murph or just a cartoon character, even though that's what I do. So I guess what she wants to do is just approach creativity a different way. I drew cartoons, I draw, so that's just what's going to happen. Um, I don't know, like for me, if I don't do this comic strip, I'm doing the other fiction that isn't as popular, but it's still based on characters based on real people that I met over the last, 20 something, 22 years of my life. Yeah, I was 18 back in 1996. Yeah, I'm just thinking. So it's going to be difficult for me to find work. It's going to be difficult for me to volunteer. You know why? You know what it is? It's like acting, When you're casting people in a play, you're looking at headshots, you're looking at auditions. And I think people take that same approach to hiring people in other jobs, like, in other organizations. I can do the jobs they do. You could think of a handful of women who can do like Leslie Lopez does ABC Eyewitness News, but there are women who could do her job better than she can, but they're not as pretty. So therefore, they're not the it girls, but they can do her job better than she can. But she looks good with her dress off. Therefore, Leslie Lopez. Um, I don't have any photogenic looks. I'm not sexy. I'm not attractive. If I was, I probably would be acting. I would be in music. I would have a successful career in some thing or another. Um, Other people have that look. They have that white skin, the spiky metrosexual kind of Aaron Carter, Nick Jonas hair, and the pork pie optional hat, the little jacket, blazer, the t-shirt, the tight skinny jeans, and the coffee, mug in their hands. And they're going to the cafe and stuff. They look like an actor. So they have that it look. I don't have a stereotypical it look. That's what keeps me from getting work. And also too, it's like if you don't, if it, there has to be like it's like a dating thing where you have to have things in common with the other person. Uh, it's not the same without Dick Clark, isn't it? Having a stroke affects people. So what are my resolutions for 2019? I want to do better. I want I want this channel to get better. This channel is all I really have. Um, to find work, to find if I get work, I would have to lie on my resume and say, or lie on my application and say that I don't have any real school or work, so hire me for a job, and then I'd be flipping hamburgers, and then people would abuse me. I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Togo's, and those places were abusive. I'll tell you a story. Uh, at this one place, this one Togo's I worked at. I won't say which one it is, and I won't say who my boss was, but nevertheless, uh, the guy was so abusive. He basically was like, uh, he would have sex with his girlfriend in his office, and then in the bathroom. And this was my store manager. And then I told my coworker about this. My coworker snitched on me to the store manager. The second time was at McDonald's. I won't say which one, but at McDonald's I worked at, the customers were verbally abusive and they physically threatened to harm me. So I left after that. I quit I quit Togo's when my store manager was abusing the power, abusing the system, and then I quit McDonald's when the customers were abusive. I worked at Sears and Roebuck, and I stopped. They didn't want to hire me anymore because I wouldn't do a lot of the using the it was a pitchfork to turn a lot of the brush to reap the brushes and clean out the back area of the building. So I was basically doing maintenance work at Sears and Roebuck warehousing. That was hard. And the only other job I had after that was working as an enumerator for the United States Census Bureau. And that was 2010. And I couldn't find work after that. So, I turned to writing books, publishing books. I turned to going back to school, taking Japanese classes, taking American Sign Language classes. I turned to speakeasies, entertaining people on stage, doing like what I'm doing now, the old-fashioned way. And then I turned to taiko classes. I'm sorry, I'm itchy as hell. Taiko classes. 2015. What did I do in 2015? I didn't do much. 2016, I didn't do much. I think I just focused more on. Wait a minute, no, I did do stuff. 2014, 2015, 2016, I did volunteer. I took a Kyudo class. I took Kyudo is archery, but it's an archery of spirit. It's not about shooting targets. So I did that. 2016, I did the more volunteering. 2017, the same thing. Then 2018, I finished it. I finished volunteering. I gave up on it. And then I did some sort of speakeasy again, but I didn't like it. I didn't fit in with a lot of groups. You know, I'm known for leaving jobs and leaving volunteering efforts and not sticking around too long. So the last few years, I started this channel in 2013. And if you just type in Maestro Drake in 2013, you can find um, the first few videos in low resolution. I took those videos from my Nintendo 3DS about, you know, composing music for my piano. And now I'm trying to do more things. I don't have a computer that's going to make editing software. I don't have Final Cut Pro. I don't have anything like that. Everything you see on a computer is off screen. I try to do some of these comic dramas with Faye McCoy, and it comes off a little off because I'm trying to make the music right. I'm trying to make the direction right, the Foley. It's just me acting. It's not other people with me. So it's a little tough. But I try. And the only reason I do it that way is because it's my work and I create it. So I try to do it best I can. Um, so I'm trying to do better. This channel is all I got. This is the one place I can be myself. If I go to a job, if I try to do volunteering, go to a job, yes, I'm out there helping people, I'm out there doing things, but I'm not myself. And I'm misunderstood. I'm always shoved to the back of the bus, for lack of a better analogy. And yeah, like I said, I just don't know what to say concerning, but I try to do better. I try to work harder. I told you I was done before with family and dealing with family members on dinner. If my family wants to see me face to face, as long as I'm here in this house, I have no problem with that. But I will not do hostage dinners. My mom seems to get a sexual thrill out of putting me in a very awkward situation that I don't want to be in, that I don't like being in. Fuck that. I'm 40 years old. I'm going to be 41 in 5 months. Are you seriously going to put me through that again? 90 seconds. So in 90 seconds, I'm going to tell you the plot to a movie that this movie, it's 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 there on YouTube. It's free to watch, but I don't know the copyright issues. It's a Japanese movie, and there are no English subtitles. In the description below is what you type in to Laverna paiz S44SP. You type that in the search, and then you'll find the movie. But it's all in Japanese. There's no English subtitles. But when I watched this movie on digital channel 18.2 in California, I watched this on New Year's Day, and it was a great movie. And this movie touched me, and I'll tell you why. But we're going to watch the ball drop. You're not going to watch my balls drop, but you will watch the Millennium Ball drop. New Year's fucking Eve. That ball dropped already 3 hours ago, but here we are watching it not live at Times Square. Remember when Jay Leno and David Letterman, or is it Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien? Conan O'Brien did Central Time, and Jay Leno did the countdown. I don't think they do that anymore. I don't think late night talk show hosts do that anymore. They used to do it. 7, 6, yon, san, ni, ich, 0. Woo, 20 fucking 19. Fuck. 20 fucking 19. Let's all celebrate. There, I'll show you. There's a celebration. There's Christina Aguilera. Yes, I'm celebrating by myself, by the way, in case you're wondering. And for all you people that drive drunk, for all you people that take your kids home with booze in your stomach, that's for you. One finger, okay? Drive safely. Get a designated driver. Don't put your kids in that, okay? So please, drive sober. You know, they sometimes at parks they put like wrecked cars, you know, bashed up, beat up cars at the park to tell you to not drive drunk on New Year's Eve. And you're hearing fireworks only in East LA. White people, and I'm talking to only white people. You people left. You people left years ago. Now, it's not your fault there are crimes that happened in East LA, but the upkeep is so terrible. But look at the way we got fireworks going on. We have illegal fireworks on the 4th of July, and we have illegal fireworks for New Year's. And we have illegal fireworks for Super Bowl. We have illegal fireworks for who wins the Lakers game, who wins the Raiders game. We have fireworks for every season and every reason. You know, you go to the ice cream man. Yeah, oh, I got some stuff, man. Yeah, man. All right, man. You know, they make the ice cream truck makes that noise that sounds like this as you're trying to read a book, and you can't read a book because the ice cream truck is in front of your house, and they're always dealing and stuff. And they got fireworks, they got heroin, they got cocaine, they got marijuana that they sell without a license. So they do all kinds of stupid ass shit. So yeah, I'm just like 2019, whatever. There is a 10th anniversary coming up this month that I will talk about in a separate podcast, if that's what you want to call it. But let's see. It is the 80th anniversary of Batman. It is the 80th anniversary of Marvel Comics. It is, let's see, 1949. I don't know what happened in that. I'm sure it's like Scooby-Doo turns 50. That's true. Let me see. 79. I don't know what came out 79. 84 Olympics was 35 years ago. 1989. No, DuckTales was 87. Let me see. 1994. The Nintendo died out on that year. Donkey Kong Country. That was 25 years ago. Donkey Kong Country. Yeah, 94 was a different time. 1999, Phantom Menace, that turns 20. What else? 2004, Sky Captain: The World of Tomorrow, that was 2004. I'll talk about that if you like. 2009 was an anniversary for me, and it was UTV Hollywood aired debuted in 2009. It ended in 2016, unfortunately. Jesus. 2014, 5 years ago, was, let's see, I did speakeasies. No, what did I do? 2014, I took taiko classes, and then I turned to volunteering in Kyudo class. That was 2014. And some other stuff happened, but I don't remember anymore. I'm sure I will, but I won't remember. I'm trying to remember and I can't. My memory goes after a time. I think 2015, 2016, I think I did this one volunteer where I was interviewing high school kids to prepare them for the real world. That was a good thing. Okay, so let me turn this TV off and I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, so it is story time, if you can hear me over the loud fucking illegal fireworks. You know, I don't understand my own people. You know, hold on. You know, there are a lot of good white people, a lot of bad white people. But with Mexicans, when I grew up, we can be the dumbest sons of bitches, the dumbest cabrones ever. We're always nosy people, and we always act like our cock can reach the moon from here. You know, we always act like we're bigger than everyone else and better than everyone else. I think that's why I had a fucked up life. I felt suicidal at times. Okay, so thank you to nobody who showed up, but it's story time. Now, in the description is the Laverna paiz 44SP. Now, that's Laverna paiz is the username, is the channel, and 44SP pertains to a particular movie. This movie moved me because it said something to me. Much like Bernie Mac's "You May Never Cry Again," much like Bill Murray's Groundhog Day and Bill Murray's movie Broken Flowers, much like Slumdog Millionaire. A little bit. I think more like The Fall by Tarsem Singh. And Piolin's story. Piolin's story of success. How he got to where he was as an illegal immigrant to where he became. So this movie is a Japanese movie that said something to me. Okay? The movie is roughly translated into English as The Last Revenge. So if you watch the movie, you're not going to understand it. It takes place in the Meiji period, or other words, between the 19th and 20th century. Now, in Japan, there was a Bushido code, or samurai code, okay? Japanese were still wearing obis, these robes, these with longs, these long robes are um, uh, like almost like a kimono, like kimonos, like they would wear they wouldn't wear a suit. They dressed like, you would expect people in ancient Japan to dress around the 19th century, okay? Before the admiral who came in black ships, before the admiral who would come to visit the Japanese around the 19th century, before the Russo-Japanese War, before World War I. So Japan was a different place. There was a Japanese samurai code. It was almost like Yakuza. It was like street gangs, Mexican street gangs, black street gangs, Hell's Angels for white people. So or mobsters, gangsters, Al Capone. The samurai code was, you had to follow the samurais. You had to follow the samurai no matter what they were doing. And it was about this man. Well, it was more about his son, but let's go to the man first, okay? So this man is a samurai, and he goes and he joins this group of samurai to do things like do assassination attempts, do hits, collect money, very mobster things. And one day he decides to settle down with a wife and have 2 or 3 children. So there's like 5 people in this family. There's the husband and wife and 3 kids, okay? So slowly but surely he defects from the samurai. But the other members of the group don't like that. They say, well, no, you're part of this group. You're not gonna leave. You're staying with us. You're part of the samurai. And if you don't stay with us, I guess we have a problem. So a group of people. I'm not sure. The movie doesn't confirm whether the guy in charge, the ringleader of the gang, ordered the hit or not. But in the middle of the night, actually the movie starts out with the father and the son. The son bows his head. The daughter, he has a younger sister, and she bows her head, and they welcome people in the family and family members. So you have almost like a Thanksgiving, like everybody comes and talks. And there's a little baby sister, right? So there's 3 kids, right? So there's a hit. The members of the samurai goes to this family's house, and they raid the house like stalkers. They raid the house, almost like ninjas. But the father stands up to these would-be assassins, and he kills a few. So they break into the living room when the parents are asleep, and the baby sister is near them. They break in, and the parents stand their ground, and they fight off most of them. But then eventually the father gets skewered. He gets stabbed, and the mother. So one person kills the father, okay, and then another person slashes the mother like mercilessly into different pieces, laughing as he cuts her up. The little girl, who's like maybe about 3 or 4 years old, is killed. She's just dead, motionless. The brother and the sister, the older brother and sister, come out and they see this massacre, and the assassins are long gone. So the family and friends who were there at the beginning of the movie, who visit the family, they see what's happened, and they're outraged. The son, who was so naive and young and sweet and nice, right? The boy, the son of the father who's killed, the parents who are killed, the little sister, the brother to the baby sister who's killed, he's angry. His fear turns to anger, turns to hatred, turns to the dark side. But it happens very slowly for him. So he gets to be a little bit older. He gets to being he's a teenager. He's about in the beginning of the movie, he's 13 years old, and then there's another actor, the main actor, who's about 2021. So it's about a few years past. Okay, and this kid is very angry. He's angry at the would-be assassins, or at the assassins who killed half of his family or most of his family, because his sister is all he has left. Um, so they cross paths, he and the samurai, and he tries to attack, but other people intervene, and he doesn't know what to do. He's stupid, he's young, and he's inexperienced. So eventually, other friends of the family tell him to let it go, let the anger go, let your anger go, and live a good life. Live the life your parents would want you to live. But as he gets to be 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then finally 20 years old, he can't do that. He's too upset at the people who killed his parents, because they're still walking around. Now, during that time, the sister grows up too. I think she becomes a hostess to a hotel. You go to Japan and you see women who look like geisha, but they're not geisha, but they serve men and they bow their heads, and they're proprietress to a hotel, and that's what she does. So eventually a man comes to the place where the sister works, and it's the man who killed her father, but she doesn't recognize him, but the brother does. So she doesn't know it's the same guy. The guy who killed her father mercilessly is wearing, a full mustache, and he's got Western clothes, shirt, tie, however they dressed in the 1900s, early 1900s, during the silent film era. Meanwhile, the brother's upset, okay? And the brother wants revenge. This is called the last revenge. So he tries to practice cutting bamboo out in the forest somewhere near, like, something that looks like Hokkaido in Japan. And he cuts bamboo, he cuts targets down, but to counter a real person, that's hard. So it's hard work. So then there's a sensei. One moment, let me take a small break here. Sorry, it's hard to pause during a show, isn't it? So this sensei, he helps him out. He wants to train. The brother wants to train to exact his revenge. He doesn't tell the sensei this, at least not right away. But over time, you can tell the way that he is trying to train to fight. And I think it's kendo. It's kendo. It's the art of kendo. So with kendo, you're not using a real sword. I think the brother bought the sword as he grew up from being a teenager to an adult. Hitachi is age 20 in Japan. It's the age of consent. So he has a sword at home, but he's training in kendo, and he's angry, and the sensei can tell he's angry. So there are times where he trains him one-on-one, but the sensei could tell. Eventually, the brother, so his student, the brother confesses to him what had happened to his family and what the samurai did. And he understood the importance of the samurai code. The problem was, at that time, the problem is now, is that it's the turn of the century, and Japanese laws were changing. Ever since the admiral who visited Japan in black ships from America visited Japan, things were changing. Japanese laws were changing. If you kill somebody, it's murder, and it's punishable by death or life imprisonment. So in Japan, I don't know how exactly it works. Some people in America get away with murder after serving some time. You get out. The system's fucked up. If you steal money like Bernie Madoff, you never get out of jail. You stay in jail forever. But anyway, in Japan, The laws were changing in the 1900s, in the early 1900s. So, yeah, so murder was murder. The samurai code was no longer being recognized. But that wasn't going to stop the brother. And at some point, the brother recognized the guy who killed his father, and he was upset that his sister, being the hotel proprietress, was serving this murderer, this guy who was a patron of the hotel that she was working at. It's like, how can you do this? This man killed our parents. He killed our baby sister. You and I are the only ones left. How can you let this man in? How can you do this? And it's in Japanese, but you can feel it. And it's like, you cannot do that. And I said, something must be done. So he stalked the guy. The murderer of the father has his own wife and child. But he didn't mind killing the guy's parents. That's from his perspective. So he stalks him. He follows him to his house. He follows him to the store. He follows him to his business, to his work, to where he goes for fun. He follows him everywhere. And he's still training with the sensei. The sensei tries to get him to temper his anger, to forget about revenge. But the brother cannot let it go. And at some point, during whether he visits the sensei or he visits the hotel, I forgot where. I think it's a place of business where the murderer, the guy who murdered the dad, was going to visit. And the brother knew that the guy was there. And so he followed him with his samurai blade, his sword, at the hilt. He was ready to take it out. And he confronted him. They got into a fight. I think the guy found his own sword. He had his own sword. He had his own blade. And they got into a fight. And eventually, the brother kills the murderer of the father. So he kills the guy, and then he gets caught. I think he turns himself in, and then the police arrest him. He goes to jail. But the sister, his sister says, "Why? Naze, nanda, naze? Why did you do this? Why did you kill him?" But she already knew the answer. She knew why he killed him. This guy killed their parents, and nothing was being done about it because it was a samurai code. Well, he was exacting revenge with his own samurai code, which in Edo period and before the turn of the century, that was the correct thing to do. If somebody kills a friend of yours, you go and kill their friend. That's street gang code. But we have law and order now. So throughout the movie, though, there is another character. It is a lay judge. Now in Japan, they have a lay judge system. They have kind of like when Judge Judy had that. I don't know. I think it's hot judge or hot bench, where you have 3 different judges judging people. In Japan, it really is like that. You have 3 lay judges, and they work together with the jury to deliberate a case. It's a different setting in Japan. So what happens is this lay judge, he's a friend of the guy who killed the parents or the father. And so he was friends, they were colleagues. The murderer, I think, is a colleague in Law and Order. He's like a businessman, and he was friends with the lay judge. And when the lay judge heard that his colleague was killed by this young man, this 20-year-old man, he wanted to know why. He wanted to know what this was about. So the brother is in prison. The sister is crying and worried. She eventually confronts the wife of the murdered man. They have conversations. And she talks to her about family, about purpose, about law and order, losing your family, the hardships. I mean, this samurai code really fucked things up. It tore a family apart. The family that could have been is no longer. So this young man is in jail, and he could be executed for murder. In the old days, if you went against religion, if you went against the emperor, if you went against anybody, feudal lord, you got your head chopped off in Japan. back in the Edo period. They chopped you off during Oda Nobunaga. During those times, you look up the history. I mean, it's really interesting, right? Feudal lords, ancient Japan, castles. But those days were gone. And this young man did not see it that way. He saw it as, this guy killed my dad, I'm going to kill him. That's the end of it. So the late judge was disgusted at first, and then he understood that if it was possible to speak on his behalf, and he was his defendant, he was his public defendant in Japan, it was possible to defend this man on a grandfather clause that the samurai code was still valuable in this revenge. It's like in Japan, if two warriors in discipline and arts of martial arts make a pact to kill each other, they sign an agreement to both kill each other in mortal combat, then it's legal. Or I think Joe Rogan said in Portland, Oregon, two people can fist fight each other. I think it's two men, and the police just sit back and watch it happen. So that's what but that's current history. We're talking about 100 years ago. This late judge has to argue that the Bushido code, the samurai code, was something that was important to this 20-year-old man. So they go through the trial, and the lay judges, actually, in the jury deliberate, and they come to the conclusion that this man was innocent, and that even though he committed murder, it was part of the samurai code and not part of the new law and order, which is about murder punishable by law, by jury, by a judge. So murder under penalty of law. Or what is it Charles Bronson said? Murder, it's murder is killing without a license. So I remember that. I think it was called The Hitman. That was another movie. Good movie. So he's set free. And now you think, okay, that's it. So the man, he's off scot-free. He's ready to go home to his family. He's ready to go home to see his sister. During that time, though, the sensei who trained him but realized his anger, heard that his student was set free. He died. Kind of sitting in a kind of Indian style position, or Japanese, when you're sitting on a tatami mat. In old Japan, you sit on the tatami mats and you cross your legs, and he was watching a kendo fight and he died. And his wife looked on in horror, and his assistant, as he passed away. So the sensei's gone, and this guy is going to go and kill the murderer of his mother, and possibly the little sister, his baby sister. So this guy liked killing women, this person. So he, the family and friends, his sister says, why are you going to do this? Why would you want to do this? And he made up his mind he's going to do it. When he has lunch with the lay judge who set him free, he says, what are you going to do with your life? I don't know, but I think I'm going to find the guy who killed my mother and my baby sister. And the lay judge says this to him. He says, I just helped you. I just got you set free. If you do this, if you kill any more, I cannot defend you. And you will go to prison. You will return to prison for sure, and you will not come back out. You may be executed for your crimes. So I implore you, do not do this. Do not kill, and do not do this killing. It's not going to get you anywhere. You have to figure out what your life is. You have to figure out what your life is after all this, after losing your parents. And there was a scene where the lay judge talked to the guy, the samurai, the man in charge of the samurai gang, who lives a quiet life. This guy possibly, it never says in the movie whether he ordered the hit or not. But this stupid old man was possibly the one who ordered the hit on the young man's parents and the sister. So this 20-year-old man, the brother, decides, I'm going to kill this guy. I'm going to kill this motherfucker. I'm going to kill this chimpoko. Chimpoko is a derogatory word in Japanese. This baka, this fool, who dares kill my family and lives like he's not, like he's all important, like he's not done nothing wrong. But as soon as this guy here's the thing: as soon as the other murderer hears that the guy got out of jail, he's drinking. He's drinking his sake. He's nervous as hell. He knows that this guy who killed his comrade from his old samurai gang, because the samurai, here's the thing: the samurai had disbanded after the laws were changed, so they were hiding under the guises of professional jobs. That's how this whole mess started. In the middle of the movie, that's how the murder started. That the whole trial, putting this young 20-year-old man who killed the guy on trial, whole thing. The samurai defected, but they were all hiding around. It's like Al Capone's mob defected after the 1920s and 30s, after Chicago, hiding out somewhere. So this guy is going to go kill the other guy, and he's going to go back to jail. So the next day, after the other guy's drinking and he's nervous, the young man goes to the town where the other murderer is at, and he finds a crowd of people, and he looks up, and the guy's hung by his neck. The other murderer has committed suicide because it was too much for him. So he hung himself. He committed suicide. We call that karahiri. Karahiri is suicide. Usually it's karahiri is you take a knife and you stab yourself in the stomach and you end yourself. It was done in the Edo period with feudal lords who knew they lost the battle. This guy knew he lost and he killed himself. So it was at this point this young man, this 20-year-old man, went to a river somewhere in the woods, somewhere in the forests, with all the Japanese warblers making noise and the quiet waters, the roars of the river. He collapsed. He threw his sword that he used to kill the murderer. I don't know, I think maybe it was a different sword. I think they probably kept the weapon or not. I'm not sure in the court system, but he took his sword and he flung it into the river. And he broke down and he cried because he asked himself, Jinsei wa nan desu ka? Jinsei wa nan desu ka? Seikatsu wa? Inochi wa nan desu ka? What is my life? What does it mean? What is it all about? So he breaks down. He doesn't know what his life is. All his life, he didn't go to festivals. He didn't laugh and play with the other kids. He didn't go to other kids and have picnics. There was something that little kids would do, and they would have picnics by themselves, or do that little shopping to different stores as part of an event. He didn't live a normal life. He didn't do those fun things. He didn't play games with other kids. He was angry. He wanted to kill those people who took his family away and his baby sister. So the movie ends like this. He slowly walks back to the home he grew up in, the home that was long abandoned. He turns around and he walks into the near the garden area, near the entrance. And he turns back and he looks back at his father who bowed and said, Tadaimashita. When you say Tadaima, you're coming back to your family. And he remembers the little boy he once was. And then he turns and his sister is there. And she bows. And she says, Okaeri nasaimashita. She says, welcome back home. And he just looks at her with a slight smile. Like he knew, he's accepted his fate, whatever his fate is. It's being with his sister, being with people that do care about him, and realizing that sometimes the system pays and sometimes the system doesn't. Sometimes people get away with murder and sometimes they don't. I don't know. I think if I was among good people, I probably would have done the same thing. To see people get away with murder, to see people hurt people, I can't say I have the same sentiments toward my family. But when you see that movie, and I want you to watch it anyway, the music, the way people react to each other, it's a little boring at first. But when you see that murder, when you see this man's family murdered, he's a boy and then becomes a man, and all he wants to do is kill, and then you see the end of that movie, and you see his sister greet him as he comes home. That to me is what my life is all about. It's finding purpose and finding who you are after all this time. I hope you find your purpose, and I hope you find out what you really need to do this year. Happy 2019. Thank you.